All right, welcome to the stream. This is probably about 5-6 streams in, so I wouldn't necessarily say I'm getting the hang of it, but I'm definitely getting a little more experience. Before I get into it, I just want to remind you of my follower goal. Where is it? Over here? Down here. I got 3 followers so far. Brand new stream. I'm looking to flesh it out, and so if you like what you see, please give me a follow. If you really like what you see, please tell your friends about me and tell them to jump on and follow. So today I'm going to be talking about testing your application with Cucumber and Gherkin. So Cucumber and Gherkin, Gherkin is the actual syntax. It's the BDD, behavior-driven development style syntax, where you basically write your spec in English. You say given when then, right? Given I am a organizer or I'm an admin user, I want to, or when I click on the create new contact list, I want a new contact or new when I click on the new contact button, I want a new contact created or something like that, right? So that's the spec. And you literally write those words, and then you write code to automate that test and make that happen. So that's what I'm going to do today. And I'm going to be using my application that I've been using for a little while now. Let me share my screen here. This is my contacts application. So let me just run this real quick. Start my server, start my client. Let me let this kick up. So this is something is already running on here because I already have it going over here. Let me kill this. Come on. Kill everything. Cool. All right, let's cancel this, try that again. Do my server? No, both of them failed. All right, cool. So let's start the client, start the server. Yeah. Okay, so I've got 2 things. I got a client and server. Both of them are JavaScript applications. The server is just a simple API using Node.js and Express, and then the front end is it's a React application. It's a SPA. Open both of them up side by side here so we can see what's going on. So I've been using this application, this React application, for the past couple of examples that I gave. So the last couple that I've been working through have been dealing with offline mode and flaky APIs and things like that. So I have this chaos monkey down here. You can see the chaos monkey. This chaos monkey actually introduces error conditions on the API. So basically when you use the application with the chaos monkey off, everything works great. But then, let me give an F12 over here. Turn on the chaos monkey. Now these calls start to fail. And if we look at the network, we can actually see 500 errors, right? So the chaos monkey is introducing chaos on the server. What happens is it actually causes them to fail a couple of times, and then they finally succeed. That's pretty much it. And then I can kind of take the API up and down, give the status and everything, and I've got offline stuff that's actually dealing with that and listening for those conditions. The verbose. There we go. See, we can see all these things. So it's actually connecting to the API in a WebSocket, all this stuff. That's the application. I'm going to turn that chaos monkey off. So right now, we're actually not going to be, today in this session, I'm just going to leave this as it is, and I'm actually going to start writing tests around it with Gherkin and Cucumber. So Cucumber is the actual test runner. It's the thing that understands Gherkin syntax and translates it into tests. So I'm going to be looking at, let's see, let's open this up. CucumberJS. So we go to Cucumber Io. Shows me how to install it. So this Cucumber Io is actually a very interesting site. So this application just talks about Cucumber. So again, Cucumber, Gherkin, Cucumber is the tool, Gherkin is the language. Here's an example of Gherkin. Right? So this is literally the language that you write it in. And Cucumber is actually the tool, and there's a bunch of different runners. So there's a Java runner, a Ruby runner, a whole bunch of different runners. Obviously, I'm I'm a Node application here and a browser application, and so I'm doing JavaScript. I'm using Node. I'm going to use the Node.js version of Cucumber. And so to start off in my application, I'm just going to copy this, just like it says. I'm going to go back over to my application, kick up a new terminal, and I am going to npm install and save dev Cucumber. So it's a dev tool. I'm going to install it in my dev tools. So now I've got Cucumber once this is done. Actually, while that's going, I was going to go and add the script to my package.json. I'll start typing it out. So let me say, in order to run my Cucumber tests, I think I'm eventually just going to call Cucumber. Is going to be the runner. I will save this. So let me, now that my package.json is updated, since I was installing a package, I'm going to close this, reopen it again, and add the script again. Test Cucumber. All right, so now that I have this, let's try and go ahead and run it. Just make sure I installed it properly. Test Cucumber. Cucumber is not, okay, maybe it's CucumberJS, I think. Let's try that. There we go. Cool. All right. So there we go. It works, meaning I ran it and blow that up a little bit. 0 scenarios, 0 steps. So basically, under the default settings of CucumberJS, it goes through, it looks for different feature files or scenarios in Gherkin, and then it also looks for the steps. So the steps are the actual code that runs those features, the implementations that runs those features. And so I'm going to start making those now. Now that it's installed, everything is looking good, I'll start making those. So the first thing I'm going to do, I will write let's call it features. I'll create a new folder. I'll call it features. So now I got a couple different features in my application, right? First, there's the basic features of just like, does the page load, right? That's a pretty basic feature. Then I got the ability to select a contact, and when I do that, make sure that the contact's information is actually populated. There's a delay there because that's a network call, right? I don't automatically load all of the contacts immediately, so I have to take that into account when I write my tests. I can also search. If I type in Frank, should filter down that list with the F is both Frank and Jane Foster, right? And then I can also add my own contact. So add myself. I actually have no validation, so I can just add that right there. Adds me. I'm all good, right? So there's a bunch of different functionality that I can test here. You know, does all of this stuff work? So I'm going to be writing Cucumber. I'm going to start by just completely ignoring the application altogether and go back to the features and the specs. So let's just start writing a feature, and we will say the contact. We'll say my contacts. Let's say contacts. I'm trying to figure out the file name here. So the feature that I'm looking at, kind of the overriding feature. So the hierarchy here is that we'll have features, and then those features will have scenarios. So those scenarios will be kind of the different variations of stuff that I can do. So let's just say contact list dot feature. Also notice that I'm going to get some syntax highlighting here, and that's because I have this Cucumber plugin installed. So this gives me full language support, formatting, autocomplete, and things like that. So that's pretty nice. And then I start out by writing my code writing my feature in just regular old language. Let's see. Let me look at some getting started. Let's see this 10-minute tutorial. Let's jump ahead. Let's find a scenario, right? Let's just walk through this real quick. Let me copy this over here. Feature, is it Friday yet? There's a little text description of the feature. Everybody wants to know when it's Friday. Scenario, given when then, right? So this is the basic structure. So my feature is going to be contacts list. I'm going to use actually a different syntax here. If I go back over here into the Gherkin syntax best practices, where is it? Writing better Gherkin. There was a best practice or something that I had seen that actually talked about writing good Gherkin. So this is all of the features that I can use, or all the keywords that I can use: feature, descriptions, rules, examples, steps, given, when, then, and, but, backgrounds. We'll look for at all of this. What I'm looking at right now is how to write a good description up top. And I thought it was on. Here. How about anti-patterns? No. All right, I'm gonna skip this. Basically, it's just talking about how you should write this, right? So this kind of goes back to Agile software development, right? And the idea that with Agile, you want to create user stories. So this is my user story. And in those user stories, you want to use plain language, and you want to give things like, who am I? Who's the user? What is the feature? But like, why do I want this feature? Kind of justifying the business purpose for this feature, right? So you start by saying something like, as a user with contacts, I would like to see a list of all of my contacts so that I can see so I can find them and see their details. All right. Now, so that's the feature. That's the overall thing that we're kind of going for here, which kind of generally describes what this page is, right? So as a user with contacts, I want to be able to see all my contacts and find them and see their details. Now, I go through different scenarios, right? So this gets more specific. So the scenarios are more like the user stories, the Agile user stories. So in here, I'm going to say my first scenario is, well, let's just start with the page loads. So the contacts list loads, right? So given that I'd like to see my contacts, and here's one of those keywords, and I visit the contacts list page when the page is done loading, then I should see a list of contacts that I can choose from. Right? Simple, straightforward, easy to read, just regular old English, human readable language. So I can actually shorten this, given that I'd like to see my contacts is kind of redundant, right? I already have said that up here. So I can actually say, like, given that I visit the contacts page. So the given part of this is kind of the prerequisites, basically, right? And I can have, just like I showed, I can have and. So like, given I visit the contacts page, and I am logged in, and I am a user of this role, and I have contacts, and blah, 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 right? So I can have a whole bunch of conditions and things that I can use. And then the when is the actions that I'm going to take, right? So when I do this, or when something else does something, in this case, when the page is done loading, right? When I am done waiting, then I should see a list of the contacts that I can choose from. So then is kind of the final state that the application should be in, or in user story terms, the acceptance criteria, right? So I know that this story or this scenario passes when all of the thens are met. So in unit test terms, these are going to be the expects, right? We're going to say expect that this is true. Expect that the list of contacts is populated with the contacts that I expect, right? So let's save this and go ahead and run it. So we'll run that again. And it fails. Let's see if I can bring this over here. Whoops. Oh, sure. Okay. So it didn't fail, right? So it gave an exit status of 1, but nothing really failed. I just got a whole bunch of undefined, right? So what happened here is that Cucumber went and it found my feature file, aka a file with the extension .feature. And it went through and it read all of the feature description and the scenarios and the steps for the scenarios and everything. And this says it parsed them, right? But I don't know how to run them, right? For each of those lines, implement the following snippet, undefined. I don't know how to do this. And so it actually gives me snippets that I can copy and paste somewhere to implement this. So it's saying, I don't know how to actually do this, right? So you said, given when I visit the context list page, how do I visit the context list page? What does that mean? I need to translate that into actual actions. And it gives me code that I can actually copy and paste. So in other words, these are called steps, right? So steps or step definitions, each of these are steps. Each of the lines in the scenario are steps, and these are called step definitions. The implementation, the thing that actually executes those steps, turns them into working functionality. And so the way that you create those are, I'm trying to remember the defaults here. You create, I'm just going to create it here, and it probably won't be found. Contact list steps.ts. So 2 things. TypeScript file, I'm using the .steps name and TypeScript, which actually Cucumber doesn't really support out of the box. So I'm going to Google that real quick because there is an extension or another tool to use that will make Cucumber support it. But actually for now, let's just say JS, and then we'll get to the TypeScript later because I'll show you how this works. So I'll go back here and I will copy these. Go to my steps. Whoa, okay, apparently I didn't copy the whole thing. Given. And TypeScript and ESLint is going to yell at me a whole bunch of stuff, but that's fine. We'll just ignore that for now. We'll go back and fix it later. Given, when, then. Okay. There we go, right? So those are functions. They're just functions, right? So I call a function given when then. So I'm going to register this text as a given step. So whenever I see this step, I'm going to execute this function. And then likewise for each of these other ones. So now when I save this and rerun, I don't think it's actually going to find it. But let's see. Because these files need to be in a certain place. All right, given is not defined. Oh, cool. So it did find it, probably. Okay, so given is not defined. So I need to be able to import these things. So I'm going to import given when then from, I believe it's Cucumber. I believe. So let's try that again. Refresh. Yeah, nope, can't use an import. Not yet. Let's do this. Require it. I'll turn it into imports and everything when I turn this into TypeScript code. Run it again. There we go. Cool. So here we get a different error. Again, the error code is 1 because we didn't have everything passing. We had some issues. We had pending, but we're making progress, right? So what this says is that it was able to map this text, this step, to a step, a file, a step in a file, a function in a file, right? But it was marked as pending. And so that tells Gherkin that I know about it, I'm aware of it, but I haven't implemented it yet. And so this is, just to kind of stop right here and talk about this, this is really cool because this is how you can continue to write your tests, and more importantly, your business analyst can write your tests, or your product partners, or whomever is writing these specs. Sorry, I keep calling them tests. They're not tests, they're specs. That's the whole point, right? So these are the actual specs. This describes how the system should behave. Whomever is responsible for writing these, whether it's you or your business partners, product owners, whomever, they can keep writing. They don't have to stop. They can sit there for hours and hours and define hundreds of scenarios that you might have to implement these pending stubs, which you can use, macros or something to just kind of make that easy. But when you go and they can commit these new scenarios that aren't implemented, and as long as your implementation terms returns pending, you're not going to get an error. You're just going to have pending, which is awesome, right? So like as you evolve, you can start implementing these. You can implement the steps and start having these tests pass or fail. So, but you have three different states that you can be in. Pass, meaning it's implemented and it works as you've described. Fail, meaning it used to work as described. You've implemented it. It used to work, but now it's not working. Or pending, which means like, yes, we're gonna get to it, right? And so that you can kind of track your progress with that, which is pretty cool. So now I can go and change these. We could also look at the output and see these blues. They didn't even run, right? Because the first step was pending, the other ones didn't even run. So if I just comment this out, and comment this out, no return just kind of means it's an implicit pass, right? And then run this again, I should get to the end with the then. Right, so now we see there's a green check mark that succeeded in that it didn't return a failure condition or a pending condition. But then I got here, this is still pending. And so if I say pending, just make all of them do absolutely nothing, then the implication is that nothing is good news, everything passed. So these are my specs. That's how I write them, that's how I implement them. Now I want to turn these into code that actually runs, right? So to do that, I'm going to use, let's see what I'm going to use. I did a little bit of research on this, but there are a couple of things that you can use. So Selenium Webdriver JavaScript. So this is kind of the oldie but goodie, using Selenium to drive this. Selenium Webdriver and JavaScript. So there's a whole lot of documentation. This thing is really mature. A lot of best practices out there. A lot of blog posts and everything. But there's also there are a couple of alternatives that I've seen. What have I seen? So one of the ones that I have seen, I can never remember. Cypress. Starts with the C. That's all I can remember. So let's look at Cypress. So Cypress is a new and interesting one that is an alternative to Selenium. So the idea is that it's a little bit faster. It also has some test recorders and things like Selenium does, quite frankly. But the idea is that it's faster. Selenium, the way it kind of interops with the browser, can be very slow. But then they have created a new test runner that, quite frankly, I'm not exactly sure how it is much faster. But the other difference is the actual API that you use. So you can see the code that they're writing here. The other API that you use, or the API that you use in Cypress, to me is a little bit more straightforward, easy to kind of understand, and easy to use. And so this is where we still get to choose our tools, right? Just because we have chosen Cucumber doesn't mean we're tied to Selenium or anything like that. Quite the opposite. Cucumber doesn't care what you do. As I just showed, I passed a bunch of tests just by not doing anything, right? So whatever code runs in here, Cucumber will gladly run it. So let's just run through the getting started guide here for Cypress. Let's try Cypress out. All right, let's see getting started. So let's install Cypress. Takes a little while. It's big. While we're waiting for that, let's look at what configuration we're going to need to do. So then once it's downloaded, we can open it and see what happens. So it's got actually a nice little IDE and stuff for the test runner. You can add some scripts in there. All right. So now what? Let's move forward a little bit. So let's see. Did it work? No, it's still going. Doing a whole bunch of stuff. All right. So while that is happening, let's hop forward and see writing your first test. So the way that Cypress works, let's see. So this is just a regular what is this? A Jasmine test, I guess, describe and it and everything. So we're not going to be writing this, right? Cucumber is our test framework. It's our test runner. So rather than saying describe and it, we're going to be doing all that in these given, when, then statements, right? So we're not going to be copying and pasting these. Yeah, mocha, chai. So we're going to say sci.visit. So we're just going to copy this. So where did we get sci from? How did we create that? I don't see where we got that. It's just making any test. So where do we get sci from? It's interesting. Okay, we will come back to that. Let's go check on our installation. Still unzipping, so this is going to take a while. All right. Well, whatever. Let's just copy these. We'll start writing the test anyway. So, all right, given I visit the contacts list page. So in this code, we will say sci. Again, I have no idea where sci is coming from, but we'll figure that out. I visit the contacts list page. So Cypress, I'm assuming, is going to allow us to kind of give a base URL here, so we don't have to type it in all the time. But for now, we will type it in. So the page that I'm going to is 3000, and/or I can also do contacts, I believe. Yeah, there we go. So we'll go there, copy that link, and then let's just say contains my contacts. Okay. All right. So how do we get this Cypress object? I still don't see that in here. I feel like we skipped a step. Did we skip a step on here? Let's see. I don't see it. Let's go back and make sure that this worked, though. This installation worked. Node modules. .bin Cypress. Yep. Cypress what? Start, open, open, open. Looks like this is your first time using Cypress. Verifying Cypress can run. So see, it's a very nice experience. Cypress just kind of walks you through all this stuff. So it just configured a bunch of stuff for me, configured a cache in my local folder, and now it's going to open somewhere. There we go. So here, this is actually an IDE that opens my... okay, so they added some folders and tests. Cool, cool, cool. So this actually finds all of these tests. Give it access to run them. This is running itself. Right, so this localhost 56790, this is the Cypress app. It's kind of running itself. So these are all some examples. We can see what test did I click on. Examples action.spec, right? Let's see. Where fixtures, exam. Where is it getting this from? Tests, integration, examples. I'm frankly not sure where it's coming. There we go. So this is what it's doing, right? Type in a DOM element. So we have a whole lot of examples that we can copy and paste. We can see the test runner in action. We can even interact with it. Can even interact with it. Okay, interact with it. There we go. And then we'll shut it down. We'll see what happens down here. So cool. Still not exactly sure where this psi comes from, but we will figure that out in just a second. So we can see that Cypress was installed and it works. Let's see, running your first test. Why don't I Cypress TypeScript. Where's psi coming from? I need to import it or do something with it. I'm not sure why this is working at all. Let's see if I can look at their example code. So support commands index. So I have no idea where psi is coming from. That's the problem. Well, let's go ahead and try it. It's probably going to fail, but let's go ahead and try it and see what happens. All right, so we'll go ahead and run Cucumber. Yeah, of course, psi is not defined. Of course it is. But this is a good example of seeing an error, right? So I tried to run my scenario, got an error. I've got that error right there in the console, in the output, the test output, and I've got one failed, right? One failed, two skipped. So again, the first step failed. It didn't even bother trying to go to the other steps. So it succeeded. It just stopped right there. Marked the whole thing as failed. Where is psi coming from? I need to create a new instance of Cypress. So I went through this getting started guide probably a year or two ago, and it was pretty straightforward. This is not. I'm sure this might have worked if I had done exactly what they had said in terms of using their example and everything, but I don't want to use their example. I want to use my application. So this isn't very good. So how do I create psi? Is psi just Cypress.run. Now this is the module API. Come on. All right, well, let's Google Cucumber Cypress. Maybe I bit off a little more than I chew, because my example earlier was just Selenium in web browser, which I might just go back to and forget about Cypress. This was much easier the last time I used Cypress. So let's see. Okay, this repo uses Cypress Cucumber processor, which is a plugin for Cypress. Okay, so Cypress is running my Cucumber. Cypress really wants to be the driver and the runner. So I'm going to back out of this. So forget about Cypress. Forget about Cypress. Let's just go back to Selenium Cucumber. Let's just Google this. So we've got I'm not sure who Guru99 is or what this blog is, but this blog apparently was posted just a couple days ago, or at least updated. So we got this Selenium tutorial here for getting Cucumber in there. Cucumber and Selenium setup. So CucumberJS, let's do that. All right. So when I went through this the other day, there's a couple of different things, right? So I've got this, I've seen this article before, I've seen a couple of different articles before, and we'll see there's a bunch of kind of different ways that you can write stuff. And some, like a lot of stuff on the internet, some of it is outdated, right? Some of it is kind of earlier versions and things have gotten better or whatever. But I think this one was pretty good. Now it's very specific towards browser stack, which is a commercial tool, but I thought that blog post is pretty good. Okay, let me see. CucumberJS. Maybe this one was the one I was thinking of. Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's use this one. So again, I had to kind of jump around between blog posts because not one particular one really got me what I wanted, but this one looks pretty close. So, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to delete all this stuff from Cypress. I'm just going to back this out. Let's see. I still want Cucumber. I still want Cucumber. Let me just undo everything here. Discard everything, and I will reinstall Cucumber. And I'll do Cucumber and what did this say? Selenium Webdriver. And I think maybe types Cucumber, maybe, or maybe it just came with it. There's also Cucumber TS, right? So I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I will eventually go back and add this. So while that's installing, let's look for Cucumber TS. So this actually allows you to write TypeScript with Cucumber. I thought it was Cucumber TS. Maybe it was TS Flow. Yeah, it's TS Flow. This is actually a different way where you actually write classes and methods and stuff. So I'll get back to this. This is something I've actually used in a project recently, and it worked pretty well. So I will get back to this. But for right now, we'll just do Cucumber and Selenium. Okay. So now that I've got that, I can go back to my features. Let's get rid of this Cypress folder. Don't need that. Go back to my steps. Ah! Oops, I accidentally undid it. I overwrote my steps. That's fine. I can recreate them. I can recreate them just fine. I'll just copy these. Whoops. Whoa, 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 oh my goodness. Sorry if I just made you sick. I will say contacts list dot specs or steps dot JS. Move that into the right folder. Yes. Open that up. Paste this. Sorry that I'm redoing everything I just did. Given when then goals require Cucumber. Okay, cool. Now we're back to where we started. We're pending. Let's run this again. Cucumber. Okay. All right. Now we're back to where we are. All right. Now we can jump back to this blog post and 1 second. Oops. Okay. Sorry. All right, now let's go back to this blog post and see what we're doing here. So we got Cucumber assert. Not sure where that comes from, and Selenium Webdriver. Let's copy those. Not sure where Cucumber assert comes from because I'm not sure I installed that, but hey, maybe it's there. All right, assert and Webdriver. Then we actually have to set up the browsers. This is the CucumberJS runner file. So CucumberJS, this is like the configuration file. So this actually kind of builds it up and runs it. I'm going to skip this. I think I can skip this for right now. Ultimately, what I want to do is create the driver. All right, so here's the driver. And this actually is, this is Cucumber world. So world is like a context that you can pass around. I don't need any of that right now. I'm just going to do that right in line here. And I'm actually going to create a I'm going to create a variable that I'm going to be assigning to, and I'm going to use the before and after methods. So just like given, when, then, these are these are methods that I can use to define things that happen before. So like I can create my driver. I can say driver equals new builder. I'm going to use Chrome just because I like Chrome. And then after. So stuff that that happens that gets run after. I'm going to say driver dot what, dispose or something, right? What happens after? Oh, yeah, quit. Driver.quit. So here I'm returning. So this is a quit is a promise. So it's actually going to return a promise, and the test runner is going to wait for that promise to return before it actually finishes. Likewise, I think that this should be a promise as well. This is a thenable, right? So I'll return that driver. Actually, I'll wait. So make this async. Await. So then this becomes dot Chrome equals Chrome. Let's see, what type is this? WebDriver. Yeah, cool. All right, so that's a WebDriver, and then we have WebDriver.quit. Okay, so now we can start using it. So now we can say driver.get. And visit that URL that I tried visiting before with Cypress. Let's try this. So I don't think this is actually going to work. So I'm going to run this, and it's going to tell me it doesn't know where Selenium is or WebDriver is because I didn't install any of those. So I'll probably install those right now. What just happened? There we go. Okay. Couldn't find module Cucumber or cert. Yeah, it's kind of weird that it didn't tell me to. The blog post didn't tell me to install that, but then it depended on it. That's fine. Not even using it, but I'll install it because I'll use it later maybe. Actually, for now, I'll just comment that out. And I'll run it again. Cool. Yeah, the Chrome driver could not be found at the current path. So, yep. Let's go. Open link. Go down, and you have to actually match the current version of Chrome that you have installed. So I'm going to go about Google Chrome, and I have 783904. So I'm going to go 783904. Whoops, which one was it? Oh, was it 11 or 70? It was 108. 3904 105. So we'll just pick that. Close enough. I'm on Windows. Download the one for Windows. Go in here. Let's make sure it's not protected or anything. Yeah, unblock that. There we go. I'm going to expand that. Chrome driver. So now I got to put that somewhere in my path. So let's see. Do I have tools? Yeah, Chrome driver exe. Now, make sure that that is in my path. This is my user variables. Now let's do the system path. So it is in my path? No. So I will say tools. Add that to my path. Okay, okay. Close all these. Let's see if it can pick that up. See if that worked. Cannot be found on the current path. Yeah. Let's try to restart and see what happens. Yeah, see? It's there. It works. Kill it, please. Don't keep running it. All right, let's try again. And if it can't find it now, after I just found it, I'm going to be a little annoyed. There we go. Cool. So that works, right? So it opens the browser. Let's see what it does. Does it actually... Does it open it? Does it do anything? No. Okay. Function timed out, ensure the promise resolves. Yeah. Okay, so This is where I have I returned the actual result, not the promise. No, that's not true. I don't want to return the browser. I just want to do this. Let's try this again. So this should work. Function timed out. This is the before function is timing out. Maybe I don't want to. Maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I just want to do this. Let's try that. So we're going to know that this works when it actually navigates. For some reason, it's just completely timing out right now. Let's go back to our blog post over here, see how they set it up. Oh, there is a set default timeout here as well. So this is for Cucumber. Set default timeout. Yeah, so let's do this. I'm going to set default timeout, and I'm going to say, let's say 20 seconds. Or 20,000 milliseconds, if you will. Give it a little bit more time to connect and do its thing. Cool. So there we go. So we actually, where'd the browser go? Where'd the browser go? Oh, well, it closed. When you did the driver.quit, it actually closed the window. So we can see everything works. So before ran, we saw the browser open. After ran, closed the browser. And now we just have to implement this. So now we have to say, so this worked, right? So I loaded the page. When the page is done loading, so here is where I can use like driver, I can use the driver. This is where we use the Selenium driver API calls. This is where I'm not exactly an expert on Selenium driver, but we have things like wait for or whatever. Let's see. So let's try Selenium cookbook recipes. Selenium examples. So let's see. Locators. Find an element. So we can say driver find element by locator strategy, right? Strategy can be any one of these. So we can say by link text, find elements by let's see, by ID. I'm looking at this. So the class is title. So we'll say class name, I believe. Let's see, class name. I'm going to import by from Selenium, I believe. And TypeScript should actually give me some, yeah, so I actually have IntelliSense here. Find element title by title, my class name title. And there's a wait for, I think. No, let's see. Let's get another tutorial here. So the cool thing about Selenium too is that I might actually be looking right now at a Java implementation, Java docs, but the API, the methods, other than the obvious syntax differences in the different languages, the methods are all pretty much the same. So you can, it's pretty easy to find things. So yeah, okay, so implicit waits. So I'm looking at waiting here is what I'm trying to look for. There's two different waits, right? So when you say get me that element, there's the implicit wait that we're just kind of waits until that element is available, and it's not a best practice because the web browser response times are not definitely predictable, meaning it could take half a second in one, it could take 3 seconds in another one. So the first one passes, the second one succeeds, but ultimately it does actually work. And then there's the explicit wait. So there's a WebDriver wait class here. So you can set the implicitly wait. So I want to find element. Here's an example of the WebDriver wait. And then quit. All right. Let's see. I mean, let's just run this and see what happens. Yeah, so that worked, I guess. And I think that this might be a promise as well. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see what happens if I return it. Once we get these tests working, there's actually a way to, yeah, it's not unable to locate element. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Using the selector title. Interesting. So this didn't actually load. I should see a list of contacts. So I'm just going to continue writing the test, and then we'll see. We'll make it work. All right. So then I'm going to find elements. Wait driver to get, find element, click. All right. Find elements. So let's see, Selenium. Let's find elements. Yeah, same thing. Okay, find elements, and this one I'm going to say, I'm actually going to find them by query. I'm going to use a selector. So I actually wrote this application to be testable. So I added item scopes, I added item type contact, and item ID on each of these. So I'm actually going to look, and I'm not going to say, in order to say that I should see a list of contacts that I can choose from, I'm not going to say, make sure that I see a UL named contacts list, and make sure that it has a bunch of LIs. I'm going to have something more meaningful, and I'm actually going to say, look for, not class name, but selector. I should be able to say selector. Let's see. Not XPath. I should be able to say selector. CSS, yeah. And then I'm going to say attribute item type equals contact. Here I'm going to use assert, cucumber assert. It's not here anymore. Assert equals require cucumber assert. Come on. And I'm going to say assert. Let's see, assert. Assert equals, so let's see, true. All right, so we'll say contacts length is greater than 0 and true. This is a very bad assertion, mostly because I'm not familiar with the Cucumber assertion library, but that's fine. This should get us a passing test. So this should be the complete example, and we just got to make it work now. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so when the page is done loading. Okay, so we're still at this no such element, unable to locate element, title. Maybe, do we want to give it a little bit more? I don't think so. I don't think that's 30 seconds or 20 seconds that it's timing out. I think it's actually driver find element by class name title. Yeah, it should be working here. It should show up. You know what I'm also going to do? I'm going to comment out the quit line, and we'll leave the browser window open and see what happens. So part of this is that it's going too fast for us to kind of really see. So one of the things you might want to try doing when you're debugging is leaving the browser window open and kind of see the status that it's in. If you're, you know, stumbling through figuring stuff out, right? Here's the problem. The site couldn't be reached. I'm not really sure why the site couldn't be reached. Can it be reached over here? No? What's going on there? It's interesting. Okay, I guess because I restarted. That makes a lot of sense. So that is a good failing failing test. Let me undo the quit. Let's get this going here, bring this site back up. Okay, cool. So I can see it. Let's make sure Cucumber can see it. Cool. One passed. All right. False equals true. It's interesting. And for some reason, that did not create an error. Let's try again. So it passed. We got that failure, but it passed anyway. Okay. So yeah, I think I just wrote my assertion wrong. So there we go. I mean, there is a working example, right? So I actually went and the WebDriver opened up the web page, and my specs ran, right? So I waited till the page is done loading. So basically, I needed some indicator of that. So my indicator was, well, whenever I saw contacts, my contacts, that meant the page was done loading. That's actually not entirely true. So as we do more and more advanced things, I can see my contacts, but the contacts are not yet done loading. So I just turned on KMOS monkey is what just happened. So everything is taking longer. In the background, this is trying 5 times before it actually succeeds. So it takes about 10 seconds or so. Let's see if my Cucumber test runs. So this should still work, right? So this will work. So I'll visit the contacts list page, and the page should be done loading. And this is the thing that may or may not work now. It should work because this call should wait until it succeeds, right? So if it calls and it finds nothing, 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 it should continue to find it until I find something, until I have a length. And so, yeah, I mean, it worked. Says that it works here. Let me see. So I can say contacts length. I can even say, let's say, equals 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Be more specific. Or actually, let's go back to let's use another Cucumber feature. So you can actually pass in parameters into Cucumber specs. So in your feature, you can say that I should see a list of contacts that I can choose from. I should see 5 contacts to choose from. I'm going to turn this into a regex, and I'm going to, in that regex, so here, since it's a regex, I can actually just say whatever. I should see a list. Yeah, we'll leave that. I should see a list I should see, and then use a regex pattern match to find this. And so whatever match this is, this will actually be the first parameter, contact count, right? And it's regex, right? So I can say, I don't have to do dot star, I can say 0 to 9, right? I can just take numbers or whatever to choose from. And so now I can say contact count equals 5. So now if we run this, everything's good. Now if I come back here and I say I should see 4 contacts to choose from, now this should fail. And it did not. I should see 4 contacts to choose from. And run it again. So do a console out to see. Hopefully we'll get some console logging. And when that doesn't work, because I think that it might not work, yeah, found 0 contacts. Okay, so interesting that return context. So this isn't. Let's make this fail. If contacts.length equals, say not equals contact count, throw error. So this is where that test framework should have been throwing this. I'm not sure why it didn't, but we will get back to that. Usually I actually don't use the Cucumber assert. I usually use something else, so we can come back to that at a later time and put that back in. All right. Cool. All right, so I should see 4 contacts to choose from. That should fail. Now if I go back to 5, this is the test that should pass. But it's not going to. All right, I want to add another line here. I want to wait for let's say Selenium not visible. Okay. So rather than stumble through this myself, let's look at Cucumber, Selenium. What is this, test? There is a project out there. There is a project out there that actually has a whole bunch of, this is Java, I think, that has a whole bunch of these things, a whole bunch of these given when thens already done. So let's see if I can find it in here. Let's see, Cucumber, Selenium, example, JavaScript, or Node maybe I'm looking for. Webdriver example. Is this the one? No. This is what we already did. Okay. Maybe it was Node that I need to look for. Node.js. Yeah, it's the same thing. Let me jump on my other machine here real quick. I'm going to do this off of Windows so you can't really see it. But I have this on my other machine. Cucumber Boilerplate, maybe that's what I'm looking for. It's not a website. Not a website. There we go. Webdriver Io. Okay. Cucumber Boilerplate. All right, so Webdriver Io is another kind of tool that wraps Selenium, makes it a little bit easier to write. And so this boilerplate is actually a project that you can just download locally. And the cool thing that it has here, I'm not sure where they are, steps, given. It's got a whole bunch of stuff, right? So it's got a whole bunch of stuff that's just out of the box. Give me the element is not displayed. The element is enabled. The other, so you can actually just like copy and paste this. That you can either clone this library or clone this repo, or just copy and paste these steps in here and start using them, right? And so then you have example features like this where you can actually use, I open the site thing, I expect that the title is not, I expect that the title is. Let's see if you can wait. Right, I wait on element span. So I didn't start out with this because I don't necessarily really like the syntax that they use, but the point is there are examples here already written for you that you can either copy and paste and start using them out of the box, or custom tailor them for your own needs. So let's see what I'm trying to do here. Whoops, it's not features, but steps. So then, let's look for wait for visible. I expect that this becomes displayed, right? So wait for visible is, they're going to pull that in, support action. So this is where all the magic happened. Whole bunch of stuff here. Wait for displayed, right? So these are the actual functions that implement that. So we have selector, wait for displayed. So this selector, this $, I think is the Webdriver Io, which is something that we should actually bring in here. And wait for displayed. So let's go here. What is Webdriver Io? Bindings for JavaScript and Node.js. This is something that I was using before, right? So this, it wraps Selenium, so you're not using raw Selenium calls. I think it's still valuable to do everything that I just did, and to kind of see how everything works under the covers. But Webdriver Io gives you this wrapper here. Gives you this browser wrapper. Webdriver Io also does a lot of other stuff, which is why I didn't start with it. But maybe that's something for another time. So yeah, so that is, I think we've kind of accomplished what we were looking for here, right? I still didn't actually show how to do a successful thing, but what I did show was the browser opening up, driving this. What I'm waiting for is a little bit more of an advanced topic, right? So I did show you how I did wait for this one to be available, and then this one I need to wait for a little bit longer. I need an explicit wait, which I don't necessarily know how to do right now. Let me see, Selenium Set Timeout. Let's look at that real quick. I think I saw that earlier. Driver manage timeouts. Let's do this. Let's do this. Hey, thank you for the follow. Who was that? Let me see. I got my other screen. C# Fritz. Hello, everyone. Welcome from C# Fritz's channel. I'm assuming he just got done. Thank you for the follow. Who is following here? Let's see. I can't see my alert box. Who just followed? Thank you for the follow, guys. DJ Vortex. Who else do we have here? So many follows, I can't keep up with them. Motown Andy, thank you very much, guys, for following. I am currently kind of stumbling through how to actually set up Selenium. I'm looking through Webdriver, and I'm using Gherkin and Cucumber to go and actually drive a web page and actually test the web page, right? So everything that you missed, I've been going for a little bit over an hour right now. And what you missed was I was installing everything. Lat Dior, thank you. Who just joined? I'm just overwhelmed by all these joins. Thank you, Fritz. So yeah, Xenoff, thank you very much. I'm up to 12 followers already. We just blew past my follower goal of 10. Just because Fritz just invited everyone to my channel. So thank you very much. Vortex, I already said thank you. I already said hello. Yeah, Coding Gorilla, Piece of Pizza, IV3X, Scott CT. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you again, Fritz. At the risk of offending anyone, I'm just going to kind of keep talking, because if I thank everyone for following, I think this stream is just going to continue going on. So I'm just going to give a blanket thank you for everyone coming in from Fritz's channel, and thank you for following me. Hopefully you find this valuable and when I stream in the future. All right, so I'm going to go back and kind of cover everything that I have been doing. Quite frankly, to be honest, you should probably be glad that you have not been watching the channel, because I've been stumbling through this a little bit. This is something that I have been learning over the past couple of weeks. And I learned after I started the stream that I hadn't actually learned quite enough yet to really show it live. But I have stumbled through quite a lot. I've gotten pretty far, and I'm almost there. Let me go back to what I'm doing. I've got my application. Let me show my application here. Where do I have anything going? Where's my application? I got my demo application here. My demo application is a contact list application. So you go turn off my Chaos Monkey. I'll get back to that in a second. You go through, you get your list of contacts, click a contact, goes and loads it, right? So those are all API calls. This is a React application that I've been building out on my stream live. So you can go back and you can kind of see in my videos how I built this application out. The repo, go check me out on GitHub, and this is all public. So the repo here is this contacts demo repo. That's got everything in it. So it's a React application in the source, and then I've got my server, which is my Node Express API back here, which just produces all of those contacts. So I just have regular get, put, post, delete. I've also got, since you're new to the channel, I'll cover this real quick. Chaos Monkey. I've got something called a Chaos Monkey. So the reason I introduced this Chaos Monkey, which I can control in the UI here by turning it off and on, is because in one of my streams, I talked about basically having a flaky server, right? So I got a requirement one day that that our API is flaky, kind of goes up and down. We have to restart it, and by flaky I mean, if you make a call once and it fails, that doesn't necessarily mean that the call failed. If it failed with like a 500 or an abort or could not connect or whatever, service unavailable, all of those failures, the requirement was that you actually just kind of keep trying. You try again until you get it working. And so I worked through that in a previous channel by actually creating a service worker that would retry network requests in the background. So here you can see my network requests. We can filter by contacts. And if I turn on the Chaos Monkey, it'll start making these calls fail, right? So if I turn on the Chaos Monkey, refresh the page, you can see I'm spinning, going to find those contacts. It's failing. My service worker is retrying in the background. Finally, I get a success at some point, and it returns, right? Same thing when I select one. That AJAX call, it's retrying in the background, retry. So I'm not gonna. I did that in an earlier stream, so you can watch me do that in one of my first streams on my YouTube channel, or you can just kind of check out the code in here. The service worker for that is in durable request. It's these guys. Let's see, where is the actual service worker? It's this, yeah. So this is the service worker that does that. I called it durable request. So you do retries. I have an offline queue, so when you go offline, Ivan Drafabilios, thank you for following. So it also has an offline queue, so if you actually go offline and you can't contact the API, it'll queue up those requests, replay them when you go online. I also talked in that stream about whether or not that was actually a good idea. Talked a lot about that. So you can go check that out. Anyway, back to where we are now. So today, what I was talking about is let's take this app and let's introduce Cucumber and Gherkin. So Cucumber... Cucumber Io. Cucumber is a set of tools that implements the Gherkin syntax, or a Gherkin is a BDD, or behavior-driven development syntax. So the idea is that you basically write your specs in English and then implement the tests directly from those specs, right? So I installed Gherkin. Following these instructions, CucumberJS for JavaScript, because I'm in Node JavaScript. I installed the Cucumber runner into my application. Followed this guide real quick, went through, talked about how to set up your project. Did I just jump to the Java one? And if I jump over here, so I installed the Cucumber, where is it? The Cucumber runner, Cucumber assert library to make my assertions. Excuse me. And then I just have a script that runs it, so CucumberJS. And then I created a folder named features and added a .feature file. You can see I have some nice IntelliSense because I have this extension running, Cucumber. So this gives me some nice IntelliSense, formatting, autocomplete. It's all very nice. This is the feature file. So in the feature file, you start by defining a feature with the feature keyword. It's all driven off keywords. There's only like half a dozen keywords. So it's a very simple, straightforward language. So you define the feature. So the name of this feature is the contacts list. We're talking about this contacts list page. We're testing that. And this is just a human readable description of what I'm looking for, right? This is kind of the feature that I'm describing. In Agile terms, this would probably be kind of like the epic, I guess, maybe. A feature is going to have a bunch of scenarios. So scenarios are much more aligned to the user stories when you're talking about breaking Agile work down. So each user story is going to talk about a specific functionality or behavior, aka behavior-driven development, behavior of the application or the feature, right? So my feature is the contacts list, and just high level, as a user with contacts, I would like to see a list of all of my contacts so that I can find them and their details. The phrasing of that is very much along the lines of that Agile BDD-like phrasing, where you're actually kind of giving the business justification for why you're building something or why it behaves how it does. And then you jump into the scenarios that actually, the user stories or the tests that kind of make sure that that functions the way that it does. So since this is the introduction, I've actually just started. I've only done one. And so I'm just looking to see if the list loads, see if the page loads. So my scenario is that the contacts list loads. Can I even see it? It's pretty good functionality. And then once you get into the scenarios, you use the given, when, then syntax. So given is, and this is kind of similar to the arrange, act, assert when you're using TDD, unit testing. Given is kind of the set of precursors, things that happen before, prerequisites, whatever you want to call them. So you're just kind of setting the scenario, you're setting it up, setting the stage, so to speak, right? So given I visit the contacts list page, right? So when we go to implement that, that'll be like, go to the browser and type in localhost 3000. I actually want to go to contacts just to be sure, right? Given I am on this page, or I navigate to this page, when the page is done loading, then, so when is kind of, with the, honestly, the when could actually be an and. This is the other thing that you can do, is you can do and. So I can say given, and then when is usually some kind of interaction, user interaction, like I click on a button or something like that, right? This is usually what you're going to do. I'm setting it up right now because I'm actually, my justification here is that the page is doing something. Usually it's the user doing something, but the page is doing something, just for demo purposes. Then, so finally, what is your assertion, right? So you've set up your preconditions, you've executed whatever you want to execute in the test, and now you run your expectations or your assertions. So I should see 5 contacts to choose from. So that is my feature. In order to, the beauty of Gherkin and Cucumber is that you write this in Gherkin. So again, Gherkin is, this is Gherkin, what we're looking at, the syntax of writing stuff in English. And then Cucumber is the tool that converts or maps Gherkin, English Gherkin, to code and runs it. So here are my steps. So for each of these steps, so we have given, I visit the contacts list page. Actually, let me just, since we're starting over again, let me just undo this, and I'll run this this expectation. So if I don't have any steps, just ignore, think this file doesn't exist. If I run Cucumber now, let's see what happens. So it's going to tell me I've got one scenario with 3 steps. They're all undefined, right? So that's not a failure. It's an undefined. It's saying, I have no idea where to find this stuff. And not only that, it's actually giving me the code that I need to produce, or I need to write in order to make this stuff work. So in order to do that, I'm going to write what's called a steps file. Contacts list.steps. .js. So the magic part of this, or the conventional part of this, is steps.js. This is what Cucumber, the tool, is looking for. So I will write steps, and I'll literally just copy and paste this. Right? So it's saying, hey, go ahead and pull this. Use this code to implement. It's yelling at me given, when, then, or undefined. That's cool. I got to import them. So I'm going to import them from the Cucumber library. Now I'll save this and I'll run it again. See what happens. So now Cucumber has a different output. It's still all of these error messages are just because it gives an exit code 1, just because it didn't like fully succeed. But we can see in here there are no errors, right? In fact, it says there's one pending. So this is a really cool concept as well, right? Because if we go back to why are we doing this, the idea is that we're writing our requirements in English. And by we, here's the cool part. Here's the important part. By we, I mean whomever is responsible for defining those requirements is writing those requirements in English. This is the kind of stuff that business people, whoever that is, product owners, managers, whomever that is, could even be developers, I guess, or QA people, they are taking those user stories and they're writing them in Gherkin syntax. In the ideal world, and ideal can be Gherkin, because it's fully cool for me to say, you know, I want to do stuff here, or this is why I want this scenario, right? I can make descriptions in here or whatever. I can turn this into a user story. The keywords are that Cucumber is looking for are lines that start with scenario, given, when, then, feature, and anything else it just kind of ignores. Or if you really want to, you can have comments and say, you know, this is a comment. But the point is, the business people are writing these scenarios. You don't want to hold them up to say, hold on, let me implement this, right? Hold on, let me write this function given I visit the content. Hold on, wait, let me paste this in and commit this and send it back to, no. You write it, and they're going to write it. They're going to write this Gherkin, and then you go and you can implement these steps in certain ways, right? So the first one, it came back as undefined, right? So if your business person is writing a scenario that literally is just brand new, then it'll come back as undefined. That's cool. It'll be called undefined. That's fine. It's not a failure. It's different. Then when you go and actually stub that step out, you can return pending, which tells Gherkin to mark it as pending. So now you have a different status. It's not failing, it's not succeeding, but it's pending. This is my to-do list. I can go and I can look at all of these tasks or all of these things that are pending, these requirements that are pending, and they're all my to-do list. They're stuff for me to implement, tests for me to implement, right? And so then if I go and I like comment this out, let's say I implement this somehow, and I'll implement it by just doing nothing. A successful call of this function, or rather one that doesn't fail, is considered success. So if I just comment that out and that succeeds and I run it again, then now we can see that one has passed, green check mark, that one has passed. Now we're on to the next step, and that one's pending. The third one is blue, which means that it didn't actually continue on, right? So this one used to be blue, the when the page is done loading used to be blue. Now it's yellow. It was blue before because it never even got executed. Now it's yellow because it got executed, but it's pending. And at that point, Cucumber just stops, right? So it doesn't even try and do this. So I can do the same thing here. Run this. Right? So pending, to pass. So we're making progress here by just letting things not fail, and they're being considered as passed. So we've got 3 steps. One is pending, 2 passed, and finally we'll remove this last pending and run it again, and we should have a success. Everything's good. 1 passed, right? 1 scenario, 1 passed, 3 steps, 3 passed. So now we're all good. We haven't done anything. Nothing works. So what I've been doing, oh, and we can also see, let me just point out, by the way, before we move on, Gherkin actually has this syntax here where you can parameterize this, right? So not only am I saying I should see X contacts to choose from, Gherkin, Cucumber saw and it translated. Remember where I got this from? Whoops. This code from, I copied and pasted it from what Gherkin recommended. It saw that this number is probably something I want to parameterize. Like I might want to run this then step multiple times, right? I might have a scenario of like searching for a contact that doesn't exist. And then I have my given when then that kind of shows how to search for a contact. Given that I visit the contacts page and I search for the contact Frank Castle, or let's say contact Jess Chadwick, because I don't exist, then I should see 0 contacts to choose from, right? Or search for the contact Frank Castle. I'll do one that's not the first one. Jessica Jones. I should see 1 contact to choose from, right? So now I can actually reuse this then, and it's parameterized. And so now it's up to the step to actually translate that and say how many contacts should be there, right? So I just added, while I was giving that example and talking through it, I actually added a couple more scenarios. Let's run them, see what happens. So we can see, because I copied and pasted a couple of those lines, those given and those whens, I already made them, right? They already exist, so they got reused, so that's cool. And then I added a new one when I search for the context string. Check that out. Again, Cucumber's smart enough to say, hey, that's probably something that you want to parameterize. And it's the same one down here. So if I copy this, whoops, go to my steps, and make it not pending for right now, and I run it again, everything should be good. 3 passed, right? Again, right now, our passing is just not failing. Here, let's see what a failing is. I search for, let me see, I see the contacts to choose from, throw, new, error, whatever, doesn't matter. Actually, here, let's see. Int. I believe I can just rename this. I believe the parameter name doesn't matter. Contact count. I believe that should work just fine. Might have to change that name though. Let's see. Yeah, see? Contacts 1, contacts 0, contacts 5. Right, so those are actually failures, but we can see those parameters are getting passed through. I should see 5 contacts to choose from. 5, 1, 0, right? I should see 1 contact. You can also turn this into a, which I like to do, you can turn it into a regex. And make a capture group. And look at this, we'll just say contact. We'll make it a little more readable, right? So this doesn't make sense. I should see 1 contacts to choose from, 1 contact to choose from. I should see 0 contacts. That makes sense grammatically. So now this should, I mean, it should fail, but because I still have that error being thrown, but it should at least map to something, right? It should not be undefined, unless I did it wrong, which apparently I did. I should see int contact to choose from. So let's go, let's see what I did wrong here. I should see, let's try this again. Oh, yeah, okay, yep, let's see. I did a matching group, but I did not. There we go. There we go. Sorry. Of course, my regex is bad. I used to have no problems, and then I added a regex, and now I've got 300 problems. There we go. Cool. So it matched, right? So no undefines. So we can see now I could say I should see 1 contact or 0 contacts, right? Because I've got my regex. So there we go. I will close those out for now. Okay, so that gets you back up to speed. So that is Gherkin. That is Gherkin. That is Cucumber running the Gherkin tests. That is Cucumber mapping those lines, those steps. They're called steps, to actual code that gets run. So here is where you have this back and forth with your business analyst, your business people, whatever. You could see I very quickly, I literally just copied and pasted and made 3 scenarios that I can now go and implement. So you've got this, which your business and your developers kind of agree on. Usually when you have this exercise, you sit down with the business people and walk through it. You know, maybe they'll do this on their own. They'll come up with that first stab. And then you, the developer, will sit down with them and say, well, let's talk about, you know, what are some other edge cases here? You know, what if you have a contact that matches this query but not this one? Or what happens when the list loads, right? So this one is very specifically, I expect the contacts list page to load. What happens when it doesn't load? What are we going to do that? Let's make that error scenario, right? Then we map to these steps, and this is where the devs come in. This is where the devs shine. I've actually seen QA developers who are a little bit more on the technical side and can write some code. I've seen QA developers implement this stuff, right? So that's how business and QA can interact and integrate too. So since we're dealing with a web application, the way that I'm actually implementing these, obviously I'm not just letting them all pass implicitly. The way I'm implementing them is with Selenium. So that's what I was doing here. And honestly, I was stumbling through it so much, let's just go ahead and do it again, just straightforward. So I was using, first I installed Selenium Webdriver. Right, so I've got that available. Selenium Webdriver uses, I'm using the Chrome driver, right? So now I can say, bring in the builder equals require what? Selenium Webdriver. And now I can build the driver. So I can say new builder. Oh, let me copy this. I don't know how to do this myself. New builder from browser build. There we go. So this obviously, for those of you who know JavaScript and loading node modules and stuff, or JavaScript modules, this would actually get executed when the file was loaded, when the module was loaded into memory, which is not necessarily what I want to do. What I really want to do is I want to use before and after. So for those of you who are familiar with frameworks like pretty much any framework, unit test framework, you have your setup and teardown, right? Before and after are your setup and teardown, and they are provided by Cucumber. Before, after. Right, and so these are methods that get executed before every scenario, certainly before every feature, I think before every scenario, and then the after is the stuff that gets cleaned up after. So I'm going to move this. I'm going to leave this. I'm going to leave this as a variable. Driver.quit. So here's where the reason I'm hesitating is because I love TypeScript. I'm a huge TypeScript junkie. I love TypeScript. I'm in JavaScript right now. Now there is a way to use TypeScript in Cucumber. That setup is a little bit more involved that I want to get into right now. So I'm writing in JavaScript, but I really, really don't want to lose the IntelliSense that I'm getting right here, because the moment I do this, which is what I should do and will do, I now lose the IntelliSense here. So I'm going to leave this right here just for IntelliSense reasons, and then do it right here. It will probably be more expensive. I don't know. It'll probably be very awful, but for right now, I'm going to leave that just for IntelliSense. So the reason I return this, you'll notice that I return, and I probably should actually return this one too. I don't think it really matters, is because these are promises. And so both before and after, and even the given when thens, Cucumber recognizes promises, and it will wait for them to resolve before it moves on. So it inherently kind of understands async and promises. Now it will wait for a certain timeout, which by default is pretty low. Low in terms of browser automation time. So I want to bump that up, and I want to bring that in from Cucumber Set Timeout. So I'm going to set the timeout. I'm going to do it really high, like 30 seconds, just for now. So this is the Cucumber timeout. So any given step can take up to 30 seconds before timing out. I'm not sure what the default is. It's probably something like 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, something like that. Anyway, too short. Same thing applies to the befores and afters and everything. So now if I run this, let me go ahead and use this. Say return driver.get URL. So now I can start implementing my steps. So given I visit the contacts page, what does that translate into actual code? How do we make this happen? How do I make myself visit the contacts page? Well, I go navigate to the contacts page, right? So I set the driver and I say driver.get. So this is going to cause Selenium to open up Chrome and bring that window up to and navigate to this URL. I'm going to leave the rest empty for now and just try and run this and see what happens, because we just did a lot of setup here. So this is a good place just to see if Cucumber can run a web browser. That's a good start. Opens the browser. This is why you have to wait. Why you have to set that timeout, because you're going to be waiting for a while it loads up. So there we go. I believe these are passing. So this also does answer that question where it is opening each of those windows and closing them for each of those steps. And there we go. We got 3 passed. So passed means that that this worked. There was no failure, right? It opened the window. But I didn't actually make sure that it opened. I just kind of waited for a while. I can comment this out and kind of see. So this is the driver.quit. So this cleans up, which is a very good practice after each one. I can leave them open just kind of for debugging purposes, just to see what's happening. So if I open this up now, it'll leave it open after it's done, right? So there we go. So that's cool. So we can see that it is opening the browser, navigating to the page. That's cool. No failure. Everything's good. For some reason, the API calls are failing, but that's fine. So we'll close them again so we can clean up here. Do we have any open? No, they ended up closing. Yeah, Cucumber ended up cleaning up after itself, even if I didn't quit explicitly. So that's cool. Let me stone free. Thanks for the follow. Thank you very much. Just to take a step back and reiterate, this is like a brand new stream. I just started streaming a couple weeks ago. I think I got like 4 or 5 under my belt so far. I really appreciate the followers. I really hope that you guys find this interesting, because it's something that I really want to do, and I hope you guys have fun with it. Please feel free to jump in the chat. Oh man, a bunch of people have been chatting, and I haven't even been seeing it. Yes, this is live, Pavlo 100. This is definitely live. I'm so consumed with coding that I didn't even notice. But yes, it's live. Let's see. How does scoping work? Do you have to define variables outside of given, when, then? Yes. I'll get into that in a minute. This is a basic example, but yes, you can kind of create objects, classes, and Cucumber itself has a concept of like context or world or something. Where is the link? Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm going back through the going back through the stream here. Let's see, where's the link for what? The link for the code, the link for following. I'm not sure what link you're looking for, but there's the code that I'm looking at here. Is there a way of coding that doesn't involve stumbling? Yes. Doing a lot of preparation beforehand for hours and hours, and then even then you're going to stumble just a whole lot less. So yeah, okay, so let's keep going. I'll try to remember to check out the chat there and not completely ignore the chat. So I'm going back and I'm adding these pendings just so we can see a little bit better output here. Oops. Let me run it again so we can see these. This is what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to kind of explicitly say, hey, I haven't implemented this yet, because otherwise, if the result is that it's passing, then people are going to think that it's working, and it's not. So here we go. Here's a more realistic example. Server terminated earlier. Yeah, now we have some failures here. Let's focus on the ones that are actually kind of working. So one of them was able to visit the contacts list page. In other words, this succeeded. When the page is done loading, thank you, Stone Free. Thanks for saving a bookmark and a follower. Yes, great. Thanks a lot for the feedback. Hope to see you again. All right, so when the page is done loading, so how are we going to do that? We're not going to say driver.get. We are going to say driver. This is Selenium here, right? So for those of you who have not used Selenium, if it sounds like I'm like an expert in Selenium, I'm not. I have probably a couple dozen hours in it. So I'm really, this is like you're watching me learn live. But for those of you who know Selenium, you'll know that you're going to be using things like find element, find elements, get, which is what I called to load the page. You can do things like get the title, right? Get the page's current title. Navigate, quit. You got a whole bunch of stuff. You can sleep for a little while. You can wait. So yeah, you can wait for something. So I'm going to say find element by. So where does by come from? That's a Selenium thing. Selenium Webdriver, bring that in from by. And then by is going to be, you could do a couple things. Class name, CSS selector, ID, tag name, XPath. You could do a whole bunch of stuff here. So that's pretty cool. Link text, which is kind of a best practice there, right? Not searching for things by CSS selector, but actually searching for things the way that they look on the screen, the way that customers or clients would use them, right? So find the button that says add contact, not the button with class name dot add contact or something like that. So I guess my thing is going to say, I know that we have navigated to the page when you see this title. So if I refresh the page, this is the first thing that comes up is the title, right? Even when it's loading, even if it fails loading. So I'm going to say this title has, it's an H2, it's a title, class name title. So I'm just going to say class name. I could say, you know, make sure that it says my contacts, things like that, right? But right now I'm just going to say, does it exist? And so what driver is going to do and find element is going to do is underneath Selenium has something called an implicit wait, where it'll actually kind of keep polling. It'll keep querying and finding this element until it does find it. That has a timeout itself, which is pretty low, which is actually what I was kind of stumbling through when everybody joined from Fritz's feed. Thank you again, Fritz, for referring everybody over to me. And so now this should work. Let's see what happens here if I run this. So now it should open the browser. Let's see what happens. So right now, just as it's running, I can see the feedback. We got ... pending, right? Green dot pending. I have no idea what they mean out of context, but I can see that I'm running into some pending tasks and stuff here, right? So check that out. So we got another green. So this is actually checking, did we find the right thing, right? So if I say find by class name gobbledygook, this thing's going to fail, right? These scenarios are really slowing things down for me here. You know, this is the problem with automated web browsing, right? Is that it is very slow. It's very, there's a whole things that I'm kind of doing. There's a whole bunch of things that I'm doing like wrong right now just to introduce the concepts. Like you're supposed to do all of this headless. So you see these browser windows popping up and everything. That is expensive. It takes time. Once we get further along and we're like comfortable with how everything is working, I'll go and I'll run these headless. So don't actually open up a browser and show it and show me what you're doing. Run it headless. Do we care about Chrome, or can we run in like the Phantom browser, which is does a lot more efficient, I guess, for headless browser testing, right? There's a whole bunch of advanced stuff and frankly bad practices that I'm doing now that once we get past the kind of beginner introductory phase, we'll go to those. So what happened there? While I was talking, we should have seen some failures, right? So when the page is done loading, so I said find the element daf, and it never found it. Unable to locate that element, right? So that's a failure. The thing failed. The rest of the steps didn't even run. They're blue. And then my after ran also, anyway, right? So before and after always run. So I'm going to go back to this, find title. So that's good. All right. So now let's introduce, which one am I looking at? This feature. Let's introduce, I should see 5 contacts to choose from. Okay, so when the page is done loading, I should see 5 contacts to choose from. Let's go back to this. The page has loaded, right? And that's kind of a subjective term. I'm kind of making that assertion. The page, the shell has loaded, but I see a spinner in here. So has the page loaded? No. I don't know. You know, like it depends on what this function is doing. Is this function really just saying has the entire spa loaded? Because if so, then yes. But it has this actual contacts page loaded? Well, no, the actual content of it hasn't actually loaded yet until you see what? Let's see. I just refreshed. Really, it hasn't loaded until this thing goes away. We could say that, right? The existence of this thing means that it has not loaded yet. Let's see what that is. I think it's called spinner or something. Loading. Spinner. So there's spinner. Yeah. But there's also, let's see if this is the version of the application that has it. No, this doesn't actually have it. I actually had put in, while this was loading, I can run it. I can add it right now, actually. We'll go to the page. App. I can actually add a class name or an aria. There's like an aria status, I think. No. So by aria, I mean there's the accessibility. Yeah, role equals status. To be status message. No, role is loading, I think, not status. I'm sorry. I don't know where status came from. Loading or something like that. Aria loading. Busy. Maybe it's busy. There's some aria tag. So aria is accessibility for screen readers. There's some aria tag. Busy. Here you go. Yeah. That indicates that the element or its subtree are currently being updated, right? So don't even like try to use it. So this is one of those things where you're introducing a best practice of accessibility, but then also something that you can use for testing. So it's like a win-win. So I had started, I guess I didn't have it in this branch, aria busy equals true or false. And so in order to do this, I'll actually put it down lower into the page here. Div, thank you for the follow, Wild Genie. Welcome. Hope you find this entertaining and or educational or interesting. One of those, or ideally all of them, but hopefully at least one. So now I can sign, I'm jumped to React here for a second. So now I can actually say store dot what status state. What am I doing? Do I have an is loading or something? Is loading contacts. Well, I can introduce something like is busy. Don't worry about this. I'm not going to get into this. This is MobX. This is a whole bunch of other stuff. Don't worry about this. I'm just writing a getter is busy. I can get into this another day if you want to, but right now we're just going to do this. All right, so return this dot state not equals ready. So if it's doing anything but being ready. Cool. Cool. So now if I save this, my app should restart. I should have my page in here, Aria busy true. And then this should turn to false once the page loads. Let's see. Come on. There we go. False. Aria busy false. So now I can go back and I can use that in my tests. So when the page is done loading, let's just say find elements by CSS and the attribute Aria busy true. So I'm using a CSS selector, and I'm saying if the attribute of any element in the page is Aria busy true, find those elements. I'm going to go ahead and turn this into an async function. I'm going to wait it. Busy elements dot length. So this is where length. This is where you're going to use an expect library. Let's go ahead and do that now, actually. So I think, what do I want to say? Assert, not from. Assert, yeah. So I want to use the assert library, and I want to say assert equal. Let's see, what else do I have here? Assert not equal. And what's first? The actual and what? 0. So I want to say, let's see, the page is done loading when there are no busy elements. So I want to say equal. So the length of that is 0. Let's see what happens there. So this should wait a little bit. I think when this will fail. Let me turn my Chaos Monkey off. So if I turn the Chaos Monkey off, then I should see, yeah, it loads pretty much immediately. So let's see what happens when it loads pretty much immediately. It's opening 2 browser windows because of what I did up here that I said I didn't want to do, but I did just for typing purposes. What happened? Did that succeed? It failed. Okay, so it found one. When the page is done loading, let's see, it found one of them. Aria busy equals true, and it didn't wait. So, okay. Yeah, let's try. Yeah, this is this is successful. Oh man, Okay, so let's see. Now I can say driver.wait, I believe, and wait until this condition is true. So wait until driver.findElements.length equals 0. And I know that doesn't work, but hold on. I'll fix it. Can I pass an async? I don't know. Yes. I believe I can. Let's try this. Let's see what happens here. So now I'm back to stumbling mode. This is stuff that I'm just kind of trying to learn myself. I kind of know what I want to do, but not exactly how to do it. So we just kind of keep trying stuff. Did that work? It did work. It did work. Okay, so let me make sure that I did it right. So when the page first loads, Aria busy will be true, and then as soon as that Ajax call returns, it will turn to false. When we turn the chaos monkey on, that's the real test, because that'll make things take forever. All right, let's see. So this will take a while. The test will take a while, right? Because as we saw over here, it takes like 5-10 seconds to run. Did that work? It looks like it worked. No, here we go. Yeah, yep. Valid session ID. Oof. Okay, so this is completing. This promise is completing after. So that's, I'm doing this off in a promise. What if I say? All right, well, let me Google this real quick. Let's see driver elements, driver wait, Selenium, JavaScript, driver wait for page to load. Hey, look at that. Webdriver JS, I think that's a little bit different than what I'm using. No, Selenium Webdriver, okay. So here's a wait function, execute script. Ew. But again, that's just the document ready state, right? So I'm one a little bit more advanced than that. I might be able to use some variation of that. That's not what I want to do. I know I want to write this code, but it's just this promise is getting in my way. Anybody have any ideas? Anybody familiar with Selenium and use this in the chat? Please let me know if you know. Don't leave me hanging here. Let's see. So I can have a wait. Yes, execute script. I don't want any of this. I want to actually find an element. Yeah, these are all doing the same exact thing. I want to find an element to reload, to prove that it load for page. Wait till element is displayed. That's kind of the opposite of what I want. Is element present? Okay. By name. Is element present? Cool. Let's see. So I'm going to say, replace this. So I'm going to say not. I want is element not present. I want a not is. Yeah, I don't even have that on here. I'm not sure this will even work. Let's see. All right, I am probably just going to kind of bail on this and keep going unless I can get it done. All right, yep, I'm gonna bail. I'm gonna go back to not waiting. How far back do I need to go? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So assert that there's no busy elements left. So this worked when the chaos monkey was turned off, right? Let's see what happened. Find elements by CSS aria is true. Did that fail? Took a little while. Okay, so one thing that I can do, which was I was starting to do when everybody joined, I believe I should be able to bump up the wait time for this implicit wait, which again is another bad practice, but it's going to kind of help me in my current issue. Where does time unit come from? Hopefully that comes from Selenium driver. Time unit, really? Does that work? Let's see, so we're going to wait 90 seconds for stuff to happen, which should be more than enough. Let's see. Oh, that's why I went down this road, because this is going to be true right off the bat. There's no waiting. This didn't work either. That's fine. We go back and remove that. Okay, so let's go look for false. So let's make sure that all the elements, non-busy elements. Let's just wait for this. Let's just simplify it. I'm trying to write like reusable code here. Let's just wait till we're not busy. That's how we know the page is done loading. Find any element that is not busy, and that is fine, because at this point we only have one on the page. So again, not a great practice, because anyone will do. If I put this tag anywhere else on the page, or that attribute, then it'll start proving true. But at this point, we're fine. Okay, no such element. Aria busy equals false. Okay. Right, that's because it's taken a little while to load. That's because my chaos monkey is on. Let me see. All right, so now that the chaos monkey is off, it should work. Aria busy equals false. What if I bump this out? Okay, so what is the right one here? Driver.manage set timeouts. Implicit. What is implicit? Is that a number? It's a number. 90 times 1,000. Let's try that. Cool. Good. There we go. Cool. So when the page is done loading, right? So like I told you, it was waiting for that to happen. So I'm waiting for aria busy equals false. So now I can even probably turn on my chaos monkey, make this take a long time, and it won't matter because that implicit wait will just wait until this is true. I have read that increasing the implicit wait time is kind of a bad practice. Here we go. We can actually watch it. Increasing that wait time is a bad practice because you generally want to explicitly wait, meaning what I was trying to do, driver.wait, right? This is usually what you want to do. But again, right now we're just learning stuff here, so we're going to do some bad practice and then we'll go and fix it later. Is this still running? Did it ever pass? It's kind of disconcerting. Should have found aria busy equals false, no? Oh no, because it was aria busy is, where is it? Aria busy is still true. Aria busy is still true because the error condition. Let me go and change that error state. It's not equal to ready, and it's not equal to error. So if we have error or ready, those are not busy, they're done. They've made the call. So that should be fine, okay. And let's try this again. So now it should succeed after a while. It's going to take so long that we're going to be able to watch it. No, that just succeeded immediately. Okay, that's cool. It's working. So the whole point of the chaos monkey is that it throws chaos into the mix and it makes things take longer or shorter and it's random. So that's fine. We'll just move on and finish this out. All right, so the page is done loading. I should see X context to choose from. Now, let's do this again. We'll make an async function. Contacts. All right. So, and I'm going to say assert equal contacts.length is equals contact count. That's going to be my assertion. All right. So now I'm going to find the elements. So we got a couple elements by CSS selector. But here is the cool thing. Once again, like the aria, let me see if I can bump this up a little bit. Like the aria, I'm actually using item scope, item type. I forget what this is called, but these are HTML attributes that give a little more semantic meaning to the actual content, right? So I could, if this was jQuery, right, I would say something like contacts list. Let me just do it. By CSS, we'll say inside the contacts list, find all the contacts. That'll work. That'll be fine, right? I mean, I assume it'll work. I could try it. But I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to rely on class names to query things. I'd much rather, and I also certainly don't want to rely on tag names, right? I don't want to say UL and LI and all that stuff. What I would rather do is look for all of the item types contacts. So just like I did that aria attribute, I'll do another attribute, item type. So look for those item types and find all the contacts. Now this should work. This should just work. Let's try it out. Let's see what happens here. Let me turn off my chaos monkey so we don't have to wait. It's passed. It worked. Right? So we actually found those, and I can, just so we know we're not getting a false positive, let's implement the search. Search for a contact. Search for a contact that exists. Let me uncomment this. Okay, given I visit the contacts list page when the page is done loading and I search for the contact Jessica Jones, I should see one contact to choose from. Again, if I save this and then run it, I search for the contact, string. This will work just fine. I'm very tempted to turn it into a regex, but I'll just leave that alone for now. I'll turn that into an async. I'll say contact name. And so when I search for the contact, so that means when I type into this input field, contact search bar. So I say driver.find element by name, contact search bar, dot, I think it's type, send keys. Yeah. Send keys, Jessica Jones, contact name. And I will either await that or return it, either one. And then I also probably want to wait for this to come back, but again, since it's since the chaos monkey is off and it's going to return pretty much immediately, this should just work with the implicit timeouts. Let's see. Let's see what happens when we run this. Anything? Hello? Okay, what happened? Yeah, okay, that was weird. Issue. We had an unpromised, unhandled rejection here. So we got a promise that's hanging out. Is it this one? Is it one of these? Send keys. So this is where my my Selenium is not that good, but it's not that bad. So it should work. Let me just make sure I'm doing it right. Yeah, so you can find element by ID and click. You should be able to send keys. No? We have to set value. Yeah, send keys. Let's see. Send keys, click. You need to do something else. So this is one of those things where sending the keys should trigger my the event. So in React, let's go look at the React component. Well, maybe this will just work. Maybe there was a browser issue. Let's see. Did it fail again? In my React component, let me see. We've got the search bar. I'm actually looking for the onChange event. So just merely sending those keys should trigger that event, right? When I go and I type, just hitting F should should actually execute it. But it is not. So let's see. I think something is weird here, though. The after is failing. Yeah, all this. I think I'm having an issue actually getting Chrome. Yeah, this is why. Yeah, once you have too many of them going. This is because I'm not cleaning up this one. Just close it right away. Again, this should just be typing. I shouldn't even do this, but I'm going to just close it right away and see what happens. Let's see if that fixes it. Well, I still got to clean up these other ones, I think. Let's delete them. Oh, now I'm starting to delete Chrome windows that I actually have open, but that's fine. And then is there any Selenium? What's the, I guess Webdriver is the thing I'm looking for. Yeah, console host. I just delete all of these. No? Okay, well, I don't want to delete anything too important. Let's try this again. Sad orphaned Chrome processes. Yeah, exactly. Orphaned Chrome processes, indeed. I'm just going to kill these actually, because I'm not using them. Let's see what happens. Okay, there's that. Cool. Type in. I'll do it for you. No. Interesting. It actually didn't even, my filter's broken, so that's a good failing test right there, a legitimate failing test. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Okay, let's go back here, and I'm going to change my test because just doing it manually didn't even work. Let's just start with Jessica. There we go. So that should pass. Let's see. Oh my goodness! Ah, look at that! Stuff is crazy! Orphan processes everywhere! Whew. I do not think that it liked when I just quit down here. Alright, well, now that I've used the... Let me do this. Now that I've used the IntelliSense to write my code, let's take this out. That should work. Now I've only got one. I still think we're in a bad state here. Oh, no, did that work? That worked. No? Yes? Well, that was my first test. Second test. There we go. Yeah, it was all this funkiness, you know. They're called bad practices for a reason, because you shouldn't do them, because then other crazy stuff starts happening. So if I had not done that bad practice in the first place, I probably would have saved about 15 minutes of all of our collective time. But anyway, here we are. Look, it worked, or at least it passed. What happened? What worked? Well, I was able to prove that this, right? So since these scenarios both work, I basically have my positive case, and then my second test that proves that this first one, specifically this, is not a false positive, right? So I don't even necessarily care. Like, I could have written bad code down here for this assertion, right? Possibly, I guess. I don't know. Or it could just always return 5 contacts, right? So by having 2 of them, one scenario that ends up with you having 5 contacts and another scenario that ends up with you having 1 contact, I've now proven that my assertion works, my search works, my whatever, right? And so now I can just keep, look, let's see. Let me add another one without adding any code. Let's see if this works. I'm just going to do it on the fly. I search for the contact, nothing, which should just mean I clear the contact, but whatever, that's fine. I should see 5 contacts, right? Or I can even say I search for the contact Jessica and then search for the contact 0, right? So like I search for 1 and then clear the search. I should see 5. Let's see. I'm waiting for something to happen. It's not going to happen until I start it. So I've added yet another scenario, which is going to take a while to run. All of this is very slow. Again, I talked earlier about like creating headless browsers and stuff that should actually honestly be more reliable. We've got 2 failed, not because of actual failures, but because they terminated. Oh, interesting. So I should see 5 contacts to choose from. 1 is equal to 5. So I actually, this didn't work. Probably because I already had a bunch of them. And so it wasn't done, right? This wasn't done yet. So it searched for contact Jessica. That came back as 1. And then this search wasn't actually done yet. So I probably want to have something like sorry, I'm not saying what I'm doing. So this actually is, I have there's my contacts page. I'm looking at my contacts list. Contacts list. I had that aria busy trick in there too. So now I can say contacts list, even though I just said that I would never do this. All right, let's wait till it's not busy and then search for it. Well, let's see if this works. Before I try again, because it's so slow to run all these things, and because apparently I get orphan processes, let me open up and see. There are tags. Let me introduce another concept. There's tags. So we got docs. Let's search for tags. Tag stories. Tags. So you can implement tags. So tags allow you to kind of group stuff. They're kind of like categories in NUnit or XUnit or whatever. But I believe there might be a tag to exclude things. Let's see. CucumberJS exclude tag. Or at the very least, you can pass it in a command. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Oh, interesting. Let's see. That's not what I want. Ignore. Yeah. So there should be an ignore tag. well, this is just talking about how the description lines are ignored. So I talked about this earlier. So you can just kind of like say some stuff after this, and as long as they are not keywords, as long as the lines don't start with keywords, then those lines are ignored. I'm trying to find, is there an ignore tag? I mean, here's a GitHub issue that talks about it doesn't actually work, so hesitant to actually use it. But hey, let's see. Let's see what happens. Maybe I have to configure it in a certain way. Let's see. Let's just try and add it and see what happens. So I went down this path just because it takes so long to run these things, and I'm really focusing on this one. Let's say ignore, right? Ignore, not ignore, ignore. Let's see. Worst that happens is it gets ignored, ironically, and they run. That's fine. Cool. Looks like it worked. So I can ignore the scenario. Nope. Did it run another one? They're running. Everything is running. 1 = 5. Okay, so that's still failing. But I can only assume that is what's happening, right? Because this test succeeded and was not ignored. I'm just going to remove those right now. Since this test succeeded, I know that it's working. The search is working. And then I explained about how, you know, this condition of finding any contacts is actually successfully matching the first one, and so it's returning with those 5 before it even gets a chance to come back with the 1. I had just now tried to wait for it to not be busy anymore, but apparently that didn't really work either. Oh, bang today. What did you expect bang today to do? Because I might be able to make it do that. Was bang today to tell you what I'm talking about today? Because what I'm talking about today is Selenium. What am I working on today? Yeah. So what I'm working on today is I'm learning Selenium. I'm talking about introducing or implementing Cucumber and the Gherkin syntax. So creating your test, defining your test here. Oh, what am I testing? Just some random test app. Let's see. I can run it. Already is running. It's just some little stupid app that I wrote for testing, and you can find it at github.com/jchadwick/ I think contacts demo. Yep, this one. Contacts demo. I'll add that bang today macro in there too. That bot command. That's pretty cool. So that's the application that I'm testing. So I'm focusing on the contacts list, making sure it loads, making sure I can search for something, and then I tried to search for something and then search for something else, and that's what I'm getting caught up on. But frankly, I'm gonna stop here. This one worked, right? So here, what I was trying to do earlier is just adding a new variant and having it work without writing any more code, which this should work, right? When I search for Jess Chadwick, which doesn't exist, the list should be clear. But I might get that false positive since the list is already rendered. Let's see what happens. I might get that false positive. Yeah, it looks like a false positive. Yep, found 1. 1 = 0. That's interesting. All right, but so I'm running into issues here that we can kind of diagnose and troubleshoot. But quite frankly, it is well after my lunchtime. I'm starving, and so I got to drop off. But I mean, I think that I have kind of demonstrated, at the very least, you know, creating Gherkin, matching those steps up with code, and using that code to run Selenium and Webdriver and making some basic queries. So I've got a couple of tests that are implemented properly. I got a couple of a couple of things that are implemented improperly and just frankly bad practice. But we got it cobbled together. We got it more or less working. And so this would just be, I'd spend another 10 hours just to kind of flesh this out and figure out the right way to call these things. But thank you very much for joining. This is where I sign out now. Thank you very much for joining, especially those folks who came from Fritz's feed. It's very difficult to say. Thank you very much. I hope you found it interesting. Hope you didn't mind the stumbling too much. And I hope you come back again. So I haven't yet come up with an official schedule. I'm getting there. I'm working on it. So it seems to be kind of every Friday morning. Hopefully Wednesday mornings, Thursday morning. I'm actually going to kind of look similar to Fritz's schedule. Probably I'll just come in an hour later than he does so I can catch you guys after you're done watching him. But yeah, I mean, nothing official yet. So best thing to do is just follow and get those notifications. Follow me on Twitter @jchadwick. I try and post probably at least 30 minutes to an hour to a couple hours beforehand before I go live. So that's a good place to catch me. And you can also check out all of the archived videos at YouTube, my YouTube channel, which is over here. Right there, youtube.com/c/Jess Chadwick. So thanks a lot. I'll see you later.